MC to allow you to speak. Third, all participants need to have a minimum 80% attendance or 4 of 6 sessions in order to get an e-certificate from this program. Fourth, you must use email account to join Zoom so we can divide you into break rooms in several sessions. Now, we step to the main agenda of today, namely virtual company visit. But before that, let me introduce you to the moderator of the virtual company visit, Miss Aldila Nadira Ayu Setianing. Currently, she is a lecturer at Department of Management Science, Faculty of Business and Economics, Universitas Islam Indonesia. She has held undergraduate degree in International Business and Management, University of Applied and Sciences, Osnabrück, Germany in 2018. To Ms. Dila, the forum is all yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi washabihi ajmain. Amma ba'du. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrahli sadri wa yassirli amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. God blessings and mercy be upon you. I am Aldila, being the moderator for today's event. I'm very pleased to welcome you at this event, virtual company visit. Today's agenda will begin with the representative from 2 companies that will share about their business story. First speaker is Mr. Krishna Putra Waworuntu from Bumi Langit Institute, and second speakers are from PT Waste for Change Alam Indonesia, Mr. Aditya Prayoga and Ms. Tasya Rosalin Tejo Purnomo. After we hear the explanation from both companies, and later on we will continue to the Q&A session. First of all, let me introduce the first speaker. Mr. Krishna Putra Waworuntu was born in Bali, April 1993. He is the third son of Mr. Iskandar Waworuntu, the founder of the Bumi Langit Institute. As a permaculture practitioner, he started his study of permaculture from Robin Francis and Geoff Lawton. Krishna was involved in pioneering the permablitz activities in Yogyakarta and Bali. Currently, he is a facilitator in permaculture design course at Bumi Langit. Now, without any further ado, please welcome Mr. Krishna. Hello, Mr. Krishna.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Krishna. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
How are you today?
Very good, very good. A nice sunny day, good breeze.
Okay, nice, good. Okay, could you please tell us more about your business? How did you get started?
Well, it's an interesting one really because we never really expected to become an institute. That's one of the things. We actually moved to Yogyakarta thinking of trying to actually build something new with the family. We wanted to grow our own food. We want to manage our own waste and trying to actually live within more in a understanding of natural way, really. And we found a plot which was quite what you would say it's not the easiest plot. It's one of the most hardest plot to work with of land by means, especially in a farming understanding. It was degraded land. It was very dry. It was drought. The water was bad. But the interesting thing about permaculture was that we seeing bad lands means is actually knowing the techniques and the process of how to actually fix it. So we actually built our houses there. We started managing the land. We started managing our waste. And weirdly enough, just from there, it attracts a lot more people. So eventually people started to come and wanted to learn from us and wanted to know what we make and stuff. And that's really how it started. It was just really our own little house made out of knockdown wood, which was a traditional Javanese house that we bought since the earthquake of Yogyakarta. Because when the earthquake happened, a lot of people are selling the wooden houses and instead building concrete houses, which for me doesn't make sense, because all the wooden houses was actually okay and all the concrete houses was broke. But in any case, there was a lot of houses in our village that was being sold, and these are one of the houses. So we took it and we built our house, and eventually we started to make our living. We just food and just to actually produce food. So yeah, it started really from there. That's really the heart and basics of it. It's just living. And weirdly enough, we were living in a different way. So a lot of people came. A lot of people wanted to know us.
Interesting that. And you said about permaculture. What is that about?
Permaculture is a design system, really. It's not really something that is new, especially in the understanding of people who already has living with a more of a traditional wisdom. But it's been repackaged in a way that we can understand it more into scientific in a scientific manner. So permaculture is a design system that basically, how do you design an ecosystem which is you yourself is in it? How do you see how each element in your system is actually connected? So basically, rather than having one large element that produces your main product, you have multiple small elements that supports each other and maintaining an abundance of product, a continuous product. So instead of continuously trying to actually sell one large yield, we have multiple yields around the year. And this will maintain this also includes in the understanding of designs of housing, infrastructure, animal husbandry, landscaping, farming, energy management. So all of that and how it all connected.
Okay, so actually you start business Bumi Langit from managing your own field, yeah, and now become
Yes.
business, right? So actually, what is your the purpose of your from Bumi Langit? What is the goal?
So we kind of grew organically in a way. Our first goal is the main thing was just how to provide ourselves. If we can't provide ourselves, we can't provide for other people. So the first main thing was for us to actually able to live this way. Eventually, a lot of people came from friends and stuff like that, and they started to come and say, "May I bring more people coming to our place? It's like coming to your place to see your process of living." It's like, "Oh, sure." It was actually my mom who's like, "There's a lot of people coming to our house. We should sell some of these stuff." And my dad said, "It's like, no, you shouldn't. It's like these people are guests. We should provide them." It's like, "Yes, we can provide them, but we can sell them something too." And my mom, secretly behind my dad, went under one of the trees. We have a large rain tree in front of the house. Put a table there and open a shop just beside the bus. And he starts selling all the products that we make in the garden. We make our own bread, we make our own jams, we make our own cheese. So those kind of things that my mom starts to sell these, and it starts to spread. So a lot of people are we see the people are starting to asking about this. So the market's there. So when that started to happen, we build a warung, we built a restaurant. When people came and said, "We want to learn," we opened up a class. So we really build our business based on what our surrounding people is asking, what the market actually asks for in a way. So that was really how everything kind of started. At first was actually people coming and say, please, can we have this? Can you teach us this? And that's really the basic of it. And where we're going with this is really, we wanted more people to do this, because this is something that's really, really, it values the human aspects of this, because farmers in the whole world right now are not valued for their work, for what they're actually giving to people around them. It values nature, and it values the surrounding people also, because we manage our waste. We do not waste it. Whatever comes out of the system doesn't become something that is unusable or a problem for the surrounding community. So we wanted to make a lot more places like this. We just wanted a lot more people to replicate what we build, rather than us building more around. We wanted more people, because the thing is, it doesn't. I really do feel like this is something that usually you don't want competition. You don't want more people to actually do what you do. But in this case, I think you would, because this is something that not one place can manage. A lot more people do this, the better.
That's really interesting. Yeah. So basically, there is no special, or can I say, there is no special marketing tool. You said about the word of mouth marketing, right? Because one people will tell other people, right? So is that, do you think that's a really powerful marketing tool, or do you have any other, I don't know, like how the way you market your business?
One of the ways that I feel that a lot of people, and I see this from how Bumi Langit was built, and when I see my grandfather's place in Bali and how it was built also, is that there's nothing stronger than word of mouth, because that means the stories are being worded by the people who experience it. But these stories needs to have essence. Now, to have these essence, you need to have something that is impactful to them. We're not giving them only a product. We're not giving them only a space like, oh, here's a garden. We tell them the whole story. Here's a jam of mulberry. Here's the person who picked it. This is how old the mulberry tree is. This is when it's harvested. The whole story. You can make it into this. You can make it into that. This is where we make our pies. This is where the cheese comes from. This is the cow. This is the name of the cow. Everything's connected. There's a whole package of a story, and that's, I think, what makes people more interested, because it's rooted down to where it's actually, like, you can actually trace where everything's coming. And from there, people get more impacted and the story goes on. We actually came to the social media kind of marketing a bit late. We were already quite kind of going around just by word of mouth. So I think it's really the most powerful is that. I really do feel.
So, is that any special or special strategies that make people are fully involved in the experience in Bumi Langit?
Well, one of the things that we always like to actually do is when people come to the restaurant, they don't come as like a guest in the restaurant. We always open our place to almost like an open. It's like they're coming to our kitchen. They come, they sit down, we meet them, we chat. Where are you from? What are you interested on? And the thing is, when you're actually talking about permaculture, everything's connected. What do you want? Architecture, meteorology, geography, economics, sociology, architecture, and we just connect what they're interested on and connect it to what can be connected to our place and what they can build. And we always try to meet everyone that comes and hear their stories and try to share our stories also. And that's I feel that that's really the way that we're doing it. And it seems that sometimes people just to come there and they actually sit on the table just to wait one of us from the household to actually just come out, and suddenly it's like, oh, who's gonna come out from the kitchen this time? It's like so it's quite a fun thing to do, really.
So it means that the customer involved in actually in the business in the process, right? Because you said that
Yes.
it's free for them to come to the kitchen if you want to see how it's the way the product's made, right?
Yeah, they can go to the farm also and see the whole process there. If they want to actually learn a lot more, they can volunteer to us. So we got a system that actually wants to support more people who's actually curious into these kind of things, wants to grow more, who wants to try to dig into what they feel like they want to actually invest to the years. So through volunteering systems for 2 months, 3 months of internship, and then afterwards we have a yayasan that supports the interns and the volunteers. So they do not pay anything. It's like you come, you learn, you eat from the garden. Don't worry about it. Any expenses is based on gonna be from the yayasan. And once they go after the internship, we ask them, what do you want? What do you want to build? What do you want to achieve? Do you want to learn woodworking? Do you want to learn leatherworks? Do you want to do bookbinding, paper making? Which one do you want? Which is your business that you want to build? And from there, they can decide which one. And from the yayasan, we support and build the workshop for them to actually build what they want to build. And once they actually build to a certain point, they can go out of Bumi Langit. It's fine. All that we ask is just teach the next generation the basics so they also can grow. What we want is growth.
So
Like a plant.
yeah. Well, that's really like, yeah, it's mind blown. And who's actually your customer? Is it like they are students or, well, I don't know, in any other group?
Quite
Who's your-
interesting we have quite a large spectrum of people coming in, because we have villagers, we got students, we got foreigners, we got even professors and doctorates coming in to learn under us. I was actually quite. We have one of the pictures there that we are seeing right now is going through a PDC right now. That's Permaculture Design course. It's one of our longest course. It's 14 days intensive course from 8 to 10. So we actually taught. There was one course that I had to taught 3 PhD professors, and I myself is only I only finished high school, which is quite an interesting situation. And whatever I learn, whatever through what I read, and it became more of, rather than teaching, it becomes more of a dance. So all of us kind of just fills in the gaps of our knowledge and constantly just filling in. So quite a spectrum. We got people from whole parts of Indonesia, may that be from Sumatra, Aceh, to we got someone who's from Papua today and still in Bumi Langit right now because he wants to build his village. And we said, stay here and work with us for a bit before you go back, so you can really experience it.
Is there, most of them are foreigner or locals?
Indonesians mostly, locals.
Okay. Well, I do believe that we can learn from everyone, right? Even it's from, well, from the farmer, from the, well, professor. So it is not necessarily to learn only in the campus or in the school, right? So it's quite interesting to have those kind of experiences in Bumi Langit.
Oh,
And
it's always a constant. A lot of people from different backgrounds.
yeah. And well, I see the culinary thing. So actually, what are your products? Can you mention everything?
Yeah, everything. Wow. Okay. So
Not the
one of the things
detail,
that
but like the, yeah.
yeah. One of the things that we built is the restaurant itself, and also our products are seasonal. So, and most of the plants that we grow are very specific, kind of like local plants that mostly sometimes in the market people don't really see. It's almost plants that's almost lost their value because the market doesn't sell them anymore. So to actually put more value into them, we actually cooked it in the restaurant, or we make it into our one of the products. May that be jams, may that be some of the peanut butters and stuff. We got the syrup, we got kombucha. So all those kind of products that we make from the garden. And the thing is, because the kitchen is actually constantly also being creative to what is growing in the garden. There's no set menu in the vegetable section. There's no pressure for the farmers, or mainly really us, to actually produce a certain type of plants, because that's really the hardest one, to actually grow something out of season. But it's actually the farmers actually being able to actually grow whatever they want, whatever grows best in that season grows, and the kitchen becomes more of an experiment, constantly experimenting to what is growing to the garden. There's always something new. There is a cycle, so it's not like people would suddenly never get a certain type of meal again. But what makes it interesting is eventually our customers would know the products that we have in which season. Oh, it's mulberry season. Oh, it's jewet season. Oh, it's durian season. Oh, it's nangka season. It's mango season. It's the rainy season. Oh, there's gonna be some genjer. There's gonna be some water plants and stuff like that. So based on the season, the customers actually, especially our regulars, would actually know what plants would be growing, and that would actually interest them more. There's always something new. So, and it lessens the pressure. So that's really how we build it. So most of our products, of course, is organic, or I think for the restaurant we can say around 50% of it is from our garden. 80% for household is provided from the garden. But we want the other 50% to actually support the local produce that all the others are actually making. So we buy from the farmers around us and all the families around us to actually support them in their business also.
That's very impressive. And I saw it in your social media once. It is mentioned about the house dormitory.
Yeah.
What are you? Yeah, what do you offer?
So we actually made a dormitory. Um, slide 12 if you wanna put it on the picture. So the dorm is also made even all the buildings where we make it out of coconut wood, because it wouldn't be going. Coconut wood is abundant in Java. And so we're not cutting any of the forest. It's a beautiful wood. So we built a long house with the bottom area where we usually do our activities. May that be classes to even discussions to silat, even martial arts we actually do downstairs also. But the top is actually a space where when we do have classes, long classes, that's where we have our students stay. And also we open for people who actually want to come and stay and just experience a life living with our family here and just join the farm for a few days. Airbnb, so to say.
What a nice place. Like
Thank
to
you.
relax, to do yoga, to
Oh yeah,
meditate.
especially in this season. Beautiful rain.
And well, I want to know, how do you connect the purpose of Bumi Langit itself with all of your products?
Sorry, what do you mean?
How do you connect the value of Bumi Langit between Bumi Langit's value and all of your product? Like how the way you transfer the value of your foundation or your institute to the public?
I'm still not really understanding the question in that what you're actually trying to ask, but the value of our products based on Bumi Langit, yeah. So
Would you
I think
try
in the
to invite people to love more the nature, or would you like to invite them to please consume the organic thing? What would you like
what
to?
we
Yeah.
yeah, okay, thank you. What we want to actually connect with the value of the product that we make is that what you are is what you eat. If you eat from a healthy plant, full nourished plant, then the nutrition of the plant itself will be what you are. Right now, the main thing right now, what we need is health, especially in the pandemic season like this. And this is something that we always been preaching, that good food is very important. And we want to connect that understanding, the basic of local produce, not having far away produce, having everything that is grown locally and processed locally. So it lessens the carbon footprint in the product, and also the valuing the people who's actually growing it, and the fact that you can actually see and meet the people who's growing it, and see how healthy, how they love the plants, and that's what we want to connect in the value. For people, we want them to eat more of this, of course, but at the same time, we want to support you also. You make this also. Go for it. Make your own jam. Make your own bread. Make your own cheese. Because from our experience, every different hand, every different place will have a very distinct flavor. Well, will never be the same. So, what it's not. I don't feel like it's never gonna be a competition. So even the knowledge on what we're actually making, we share, and it's fine. So make one in your place. So that's where we value our product.
Yeah, it's very nice when people know that the product that is made uh, by Indonesian, like a local product, it's also have a high quality, right? And also loved by many people.
Oh yeah,
And
it's
yeah,
especially if it's local. That means, and it's not having too much distance. That means less preservatives. So it's fresh. So it becomes the main key product.
entering about the challenge. especially in and
Yeah.
when now we are in a we are still facing the pandemic, yeah. And
Yeah.
how do you conduct your business after the pandemic? Is that really impact um, the Bumi Langit business?
In the aspect of it does have impact in the amount of income that we get from for product selling from our restaurants and stuff like that. But actually now a lot of people are asking to be sent rather than usually coming to Bumi Langit, because usually they don't want it to be sent. They want to come to Bumi Langit and get our product. But weirdly, as much as our income dropped, luckily enough, it's enough to still cover, and we still have surplus. Um, it doesn't really feel that there's much change. We still kept on doing what we're doing, and doesn't. If you're in Bumi Langit and you stayed there for a while, it doesn't feel like there's a pandemic in a way. To tell you the truth, we're just mostly time in the garden. We're still doing the cows. Products are still going. People are still selling, because it's something that is very basic in value. People need food, shelter, and fiber, and we provide that. So it's a basic commodity. So there's always a market for it.
I
It's
came there
less
twice
than the market
after,
though.
yeah. I came there twice after pandemic, and you said it's really true. It's like there's no pandemic there. Maybe people are wants to like escape from the pressure and want to see is nature, right?
One thing for sure is it's not easy to build something in the base. I'm just sharing our story and how we built Bumi Langit. We had to go through a lot of things to actually get to where we are. There are some failures in our process. Back then, we did some leather work. It didn't sell as well. We had some animal systems that fully shut down. But because um, it's not an easy, smooth ride. There was a lot of prejudice to when we were starting here. The farmers were mostly also like, what the hell are these people doing? They're farming in a very different way. They're not using all the pesticides that we usually use. So when you start a business, especially with something that is very different in character, there's going to be a lot of questions until you prove yourself. So be strong at that. Strong to where you want to go. Keep on going. If you know this is the right path, and a lot of people are supporting you in the back, go with those people. Even if seems like the current of the world is kind of pushing you to another way. This is how to build something that is original. So don't lose faith.
That's really, yeah, that's true. And so what is your strategy to make your business sustain, especially facing this pandemic?
The main thing to actually maintain your business is first to maintain yourself. That's, at least I'm just saying, this is how we build it. People who lives in our farm, who lives with us and everything, eats from the garden. Because first was actually saving ourselves, because we need to actually lessen the amount of kind of expenses that we use ourselves, and like mostly going to the garden. First is that, because if you don't do that first, you're going to be stressed. After that, then you go to the business, because then you have a clear mind to actually manage it. That's at least how we work in Bumi Langit. But right now in this pandemic, I feel that we should start working more into, rather than producing something that is large and expanding to where the market is wider, we should work on more on localized products and producing the needs of the people around us. And that's the easiest, I feel that that's the most important thing to do right now and in this pandemic that is actually accessible, because that is what I'm doing right now in Bali, is to actually work with villages and banjars and stuff like that to actually start to make a certain local economy for them to live.
Okay, well, that's yeah. And now talking about the technology, we are talking a little bit about the technology, about the development of the internet, especially. Even social media, is that impact your business in a good way or in a bad way?
Um, it hasn't impacted us yet, because right now the only person that has been using the internet is me and forcibly my dad. All the other teams in Bumi Langit has no interest in going into the social media and the internet yet. We are they're very grounded people. So I think for us in Bumi Langit, we haven't fully used the possibilities of the internet, but we feel that we also already have quite enough even without it.
Oh, I wish I can live like that. Like there is no internet for I don't know, like 5 minutes. I'm already like, yeah, don't know how to live. And well, last
Don't
but not
worry, you're not alone.
yeah, yeah, maybe many people here also feeling the same. And okay, last but not least, yeah, finally we are on the last question. According to you, what is the background and skill necessary for graduate students or for all of us to run the business in today's era?
I I feel that if you want to run a business in this era, especially in the era of where health is very important, especially with the bigger wave, which is global, with climate change happening, um, I think ethics and principles are most of the basic things that you actually need to learn. That means you have to move with actually ethics and the principles. You have to have principles and ethics. What I use and what we use in Bumi Langit is permaculture ethics, and that can be connected to any sort of religion that you want that you have, and any culture that you have. And really, what we use in Bumi Langit, which is ethics of permaculture, is care for the earth, care for the people, and fair share. And that's very simple things. And I think that should be a ground, the most basic thing that what you want to actually, if you're doing a business. You have to be fair, not only for the people, but for the earth as well.
Okay. Do you have any motivation statement for all of the students to keep innovate and participate in a sustainable business?
It's never too late to do any anything that you want to build in a sustainable way. You can do it in any time, and it's something that is very simple. I know technology right now seems to be so much that you can actually feel like you can do anything. But the grounded thing about sustainability is the basics of it, that you need to understand nature and how nature works. If you can do that and understand the pattern of it, anything that you do will always be sustainable. And wherever you are, may that be you are in the forest, you are in the village, to even in the urban city of Jakarta, there will be a way. So good luck.
That's a very powerful word. Thank you very much, Mr. Krishna, for giving such an informative and interesting discussion. Yeah, and please stay in the station
Thank you too.
because we still have a Q&A session after this. And up next, the second speaker is Mr. Aditya Prayoga, well accompanied by Ms. Tasia on the virtual tour from Waste for Change Alam Indonesia.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, first thing first, I would like to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Aditya Prayoga. He was born in Jakarta, June 1994. He finished his studies in Tampere University of Applied Science, Finland, and Osvali University of Applied and Sciences. Currently, he works at PT Waste for Change Alam Indonesia as a project executive. Please welcome Mr. Aditya. The floor is yours.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. So I'd like to talk a little bit about our company. So here it's titled "Leveraging Opportunity from Untapped Waste." I was really happy to be sharing this and listening to what Mr. Krishna has shared in Bumi Langit. I think it's a really great initiative, and I hope with the sharing session it can inspire a lot more people. Next, please. So at Waste for Change, next. Yeah, at Waste for Change, we started with a question. So the company started in 2014. It started with the question of what's happening to our waste. And when we look at the data, it seems like there's just a lot of waste being produced. Right now, it's 175,000 tons per day of waste, with 69%. So most of it just goes to the landfill. Right, so that's the big problem there, and if we keep doing this, of course, we don't want to end up with the whole Indonesia of just being a landfill, right? But also, what's concerning is not just the 8.5% unmanaged waste, or 5% burned and 10% buried, which means they're not even serviced by the basic waste management service. But we only recycle 7.5% of that, less than 10%. Next, please. Now, the reason for that low recycling rate is because we see that 81% of the waste is not segregated. We don't have source segregation in Indonesia. If you look at other countries outside of Indonesia, like Singapore or Australia, close by, they have source segregation. At least they segregate from their recyclables and non-recyclables, but we don't. We just mix them. And this is why, despite us having a lot of recyclable materials, we cannot come up with a clean waste stream for recyclers to recycle them, right? Next, please. Now, when you look at the data as well, the Central Bureau of Statistics, BPS in Indonesia, show a study on the environmental indifference index. In there, they look at which one of these environmental issues are Indonesians most indifferent to, the one they don't care about. And we see that waste management tops that list. So from energy, clean water, and private transportation, waste management is one that we don't really care about. And this is the vicious cycle, in that we don't provide infrastructure for it because we see that there is not enough care, but because there is not enough care because there is not enough infrastructure. You see, that's the vicious cycle there. Next, please. So Waste for Change comes in, and we want to give an idea of what it could be like if waste management is interpreted correctly. So we give a lot of services, mainly 4 revenue streams from our consulting services, from our campaigning services, from our collect services and create services. Now, these services are aligned with the national strategy of Indonesia. Very ambitious on 30% waste reduction at source and 70% waste recovery by 2025. And so these 4 services makes us the only waste management service provider that gives a holistic end-to-end service, waste management service. Next, please. Now, when we look at how we tackle any sort of like problem in Indonesia, we always look at it from the 5 different aspects. So that 4 business line is always aligned with how we look at the regulation on waste management, how we look at the technical operation of it, how we look at who are the stakeholders in any waste management, what are the institutions doing it, and how do we finance that operation. So all of those 4 business units have been analyzed to be working simultaneously with all these 5 different aspects to create responsible waste management. Next. Right, so by doing those business units, what we aim to do, our big vision, is to change the current linear economy system from take, make, and waste, take, make, dispose, to the circular economy, where we enact the 3R principle: reduce, waste, recycle. Of course, there's more recovery and refuse in the beginning, right? But anyway, this is our big vision to change the paradigm of the Indonesian economic system from the linear economy to the circular economy. Next. Now, when we're talking about business models, the circular economy model is actually quite revolutionary in that if we look at the traditional business model, there's the product design, you procure something, you manufacture something, there are logistics to distribute that. Wait, not yet. Can we go back? Yeah. Logistics to distribute that, there is sales and marketing, there's product use by the consumers, end of life, and we go back to reverse logistics. Now, each of these is very linear. Take, make, waste, you know. Now, what we want to do is try to make it more circular in that we can start with doing circular supply. So when we procure something, there are components of it that is based on recycled inputs. So replace any single life cycle inputs to any procurement component of it, and it is already starting to look very circular. In terms of resource recovery, any manufacturing process, we know that there is a little bit of byproducts from there, and that byproduct, by returning it either to its own procurement system or to give it to someone else's procurement system, is already a circular process. In terms of product life extension, giving a free customer service, giving repairs, that's already a circular practice. Now, we think it's a little bit revolutionary, but actually when we try to see how the dynamics of our economy, it is more and more towards this trend. For example, let's say Philips, they're not selling light bulbs anymore. They're selling lighting. So they change their product into a service. Now the life cycle of that light bulb will increase because it is in the company's best interest to also extend that the lifespan of its own product. So that comes into the reselling or the repairing and the sharing of their product itself. Just like, let's say, another company, for example, Uber or Gojek, they are sharing existing components of what's in the economy. They don't have to procure a lot more, but they're just extending the life cycle of that product itself. We can talk more about this later, but I just want to move on to the next slide. So far, what Waste for Change is doing in its consulting and the campaigning projects, we are already all over Indonesia, doing a lot of research and studies, doing a lot of feasibility study for any waste management projects, or even policy briefs to the Ministry of Public Works, Ministry of Environment and Forestry, or Ministry of National Planning. Now, in terms of campaign, this is where we do a lot of our community development, our waste management facility development, and we do it all over Indonesia already at over 60 now, actually. This was done in 2018, I believe, this slide. But next. Right, now, this is probably where most of you are interested in. How do we do our collect services? So we're not only just talking, but we're also walking that talk by collecting that services, all right? Now, in terms of circularity, we start with, of course, educating all of our clients. So we educate them on, look, the requirements for us to collect from your place is to have source segregation, at least two or three different segregation categories. From there, we collect the waste and it is still segregated. So a lot of the thing in Indonesia, a lot of the practices in Indonesia, what's being done is that there is this segregated waste bins, but when it's collected, they're all put back in one bin, and that is very disheartening for people who's already segregating their waste, right? Because it feels like that effort is useless. Now we give a guarantee that it is still segregated during collection, and then it comes to our material recovery facility, where we segregate a little bit more, about I think on the teens, right? 17 different categories of waste you will see with Tasya going around the MRF later. And finally, we have a waste journey report. Going back to the client, we give them this report telling them, look, guys, this is how much you guys segregate. This is your segregation quality. And we also will invoice you based on how much you waste. Now, this is interesting because the more waste they produce, the more they pay, and the less waste, the less they pay. And this drives actually waste segregation, this drives waste generation down to the clients that are paying us. So this is the bet we're willing to take to reduce waste coming into the landfill. Next, please. Right, so this is what's happening in our material recovery facility. As you can see, from the waste that is generated in the middle, bottom middle, it goes down to the waste bins where we collect it, still segregated, and it goes to the material recovery facility, where 4 different waste segregation that we usually give to the clients: organics, papers, recyclables, and residual waste will be sorted. We are pre-processing them we shred them, we bale them, segregate by color and whatnot, and we give them to our recycling partners. And that report that we give will go back to the client to improve their waste management in their own internally. Next. Right, so the 2 scheme in our collection, which was the volume-based payment and the waste segregation at source, are the 2 that what separates us from the other waste management service providers in Indonesia. Next. Right, so this is the report that we gave to our clients, showing them their waste management performance. Sometimes if they have exceptional segregation quality errors, we tell them the error they did. For example, let's say sometimes there are these laminated paper that goes into the paper bin, and we're telling them, look, this is actually not being able to be recycled in the paper section. You should put this in the residual section or something like this. Next, please. Now, we are also collecting from 2,000 households in Bekasi. This is done gradually. So actually, what I want to touch on here is behavior change, because that source segregation, while it is quite easy enough to implement, let's say in businesses, we do see a good source segregation rate there, but in households, it's a little bit more difficult, because maybe in corporation, the employees adhere to the policy of the company, where in households, it's quite difficult because law enforcement is hard on waste, right? So what I want to touch on, though, even though we do constant socialization, education to these households, and we give them the service already on curbside collection of segregated waste, behavior change can't be done in an instant. So only 40% of the households that we serve are disciplined and follow the system after 2 years that we did this in Bekasi. Next. Now, another thing that I talked about and I touched on a little bit is on the volume-based payment. So because we say, look, we're willing to bet that you can reduce your waste management payment by if you're able to reduce it, we are going to invoice you less, right? And this is what happens because of that. 20% reduction on waste generation by that company. So this is one restaurant, and it is notoriously hard to reduce waste from a service-based business like a restaurant like this. But it is, but we achieved that in 6 months. In 20% reduction of waste in 6 months is quite an achievement for us. So this is what happened when we do it with our model. So next, please. Right now, from our collection service, we are already collecting 60 plus businesses and offices in Greater Jakarta area. We also do one-time events like Jakarta Fashion Week, for example. That is an event that we manage the waste from. And we have so far diverted 5,400 tons of waste from the landfill, recycling it. And that is the achievement that we have done. So we are very happy to have been working with big retail like IKEA or Decathlon, and even the coordinating Ministry of Maritime Affairs office, various embassies in Indonesia are our clients as well. But this number, the 5,400, is what we achieved in 6 years, right? I want to say that this number is very small compared to what is generated in Jakarta, which is 7,800 tons per day. What we're doing is within 6 years. So we are still a long way away from solving waste management. Next. Right, but what we have been able to do is give a social impact. As a social enterprise, we don't want to be just for profit. We want to also add empowerment to the waste industry. So as we know, waste management in Indonesia is there is a lot of informal sector involvement in there. So your scavengers, for example. Now by growing ourselves, we are guaranteeing this stable income for our scavenger friends, which we hire to be our full-time employee. So we are trying to give them the best livelihood, and we want to also give them this pride that actually working in waste management is not something to be ashamed of. In fact, you're going to have this uniform, you're going to have proper protective equipment, you're going to be able to show that it is not something to be ashamed of, it's something you should be proud of because you're contributing to waste management in Indonesia. Next. Right, so as I said, going back to circular economy, it is the future. We think it should be the future. We think it should be what our best practice could be. it's all about sustainable consumption and production. And if you look at this Vida Bekasi, it's a small complex area in Bekasi which we operate in. In the top right corner, you see Waste for Change there. Now, what I mean by circular is that everything is connected and everything can supply each other. So this is the mini circular economy that we have created in Vida Bekasi. We don't do this alone. We do this with a lot of various stakeholders. So, for example, the waste that we are processing at Waste for Change, it is, for example, our compost. We give our compost to Farm for Life for them to urban farm, right? And from Farm for Life, they give that food to Javara, which they will process and they will sell it to the market. And in the market, that food will be bought by the households, and the waste generated from the households goes back to Waste for Change. So this is the beautiful circular economy that we have created in Vida Bekasi. So other stuff like paper, plastic, glass is also being thought of in this circularity concept in Bekasi. Next. So in regards to this, we know that there is a lot that we have done and we're proud of it. But I think we have to go back and ask the question, because can our actions compete with the rate in which we damage our environment? Right now, again, 175,000 of waste per day is generated in Indonesia, most of it going to the landfill. But still a significant portion, at about 20% of it is unmanaged yet. And this could be burnt, this could be buried, this could be going to the rivers, which ultimately goes to the ocean, which puts us at that second most polluter to marine debris, second most contributor to marine debris. After China, admittedly a long way away from the first place, that is China, but we're still second, and we shouldn't be proud of that. And I think we are just a small company right now, social entrepreneur in Bekasi, having 140 employees, but I think right now there is an urgency of change. The landfill that is serving Jakarta is going to reach its full capacity next year, and next year is how many days away? So it is something that we think a lot more urgent change needs to happen, and part of it is doing it as an entrepreneur. Social entrepreneurship is, I think, the accelerator of change right now. So yeah, it's time to do this structural, systematic, massive, and accountable change for waste management. Next. Yeah, these are just several of our clients that we collect, and we do consultation. We partner with them in various campaign programs. Next. Yeah, thank you. That is my presentation so far. If you have any questions, I'm very happy to discuss it with you all.
Okay, thank you very much for Mr. Aditya for the presentation. But before we go to the tour and Q&A session, I would like to ask several questions. Yeah.
Sure.
What are the biggest issues for running this business?
Well, the biggest issue in running the business, I mean, we encounter a lot of issues. So first of all, we have to understand the waste management in Indonesia really relies on the informal sector a lot. So we do touch with the informal sector a lot. What we need to do is empower them and alleviate them. Sometimes there is a misunderstanding that they think, oh man, you're taking my piece of the pie on the waste management. So there's a little bit of a mafia there, but constant engagement with them and problem solving is really one of our key approach to solving this problem. Another issue, of course, is behavior change. Sometimes people don't see waste as something that they need to take care of. We are already conditioned for years and years that waste management is, you can just put it somewhere and it's solved. So out of sight, out of mind. But actually, the impact is not direct to you, but it's direct to the environment and also the people that are affected by where you dump it into. So this is a great example of that is how Jakarta's landfill is not in Jakarta. It's in another city. It's in Bekasi. And Bekasi is housing like 3 landfills, one of them the biggest in Indonesia. So, of course, Jakartans, they don't see it as a problem because they don't see it, right? They put it somewhere else. And so this is one of the things that we are, behavior change is one of the big sort of like challenges that we face. And that leads to the NIMBY effect, not in my backyard. Whenever we present this, people are like, oh my God, you guys are doing really great stuff. And then when we ask, okay, can we do it somewhere near your place? They're like, okay, maybe not in my backyard because it's going to be really dirty and whatnot. Even though we can prove it's not. You will see in the tour that Tasya is going to show, it's not dirty. And I wish there's smell-o-vision. You can smell it. It's not that stinky as well in our material recovery facility.
Okay, so as we know that not many people in Indonesia especially care about their waste, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how could you educate more people
Right.
to care more about their waste?
So we start with this might sound cynical, but we start with their emotion. So people make decisions not based on logical thinking. It's based on emotional thinking, right? And what we do is we show them. We have a program called AKABIS, Academy Bijak Sampah. It's sort of like Waste Management Academy, right? And in there we show participants. We conduct this training by showing participants, look, let me bring you to Bantar Gebang, the biggest landfill in Indonesia. And in there you could see mountains of waste, 40 meters high, and we go on top of it. You can see Jakarta on top of that pile of waste. And that is very impactful for people. By starting from there, we bring them to our facility, showing them logically how this could have been done this could have been done correctly in our material recovery facility. And from there, we started discussion on what is the problem with waste management, how we should have been able to solve it. Small contributions can mean a lot if it's done consistently. Just like how small negligence can impact a lot if everybody's doing it. People always say, oh, maybe it's just one straw, but if 7 billion people are saying the same thing, then it's 7 billion straws. So that's a big problem in Indonesia, and we do it by first touching their emotion. Secondly, of course, we tell them the why. So people do not segregate their waste or do not care, not because they're evil, but they just don't know the impact. So we educate them on that. So constant education and constant messaging is key to this. I think in conclusion, I would say, yes, first touch their emotion and then explain why this could damage the environment significantly. And from there, I think it's just an organic process of changing lifestyle.
That's very interesting, like how we can overcome this waste problem, right? Especially in Indonesia, as we know that not many people care about their waste, and this the small change can impact can give a big impact for us, right? And thank you very much, Mr. Adit, for your explanation. Now we are coming to the virtual company tour, yeah, and we gonna invite Miss Tasha. Yeah, Miss Tasha already joined us. Okay. Ms. Tasya Rosalina Tejo Purnomo, the representative from Waste for Change Alam Indonesia. She will invite us to visit their office virtually. Hello, Ms. Tasya. Can you hear us here? Can you hear us there?
Hello, hello.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Thank you. The floor is yours.
okay, recovery material recovery facility. Where we collected our clients, whether it is the Greater Jakarta area or from residential area, be either recycled or composted or sent to the final processing plant.
Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Miss Tasya. I'm sorry to interrupt you because we cannot hear clearly. We
Okay.
cannot hear you clearly. Could you please make the microphone, take the microphone closer because we cannot hear you clearly.
Okay. Wait. I will speak. Hear me clearly?
It's louder already, but still not clearly enough.
Okay. Maybe I will speak. Alright. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Miss Model. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, yep, better.
Okay. 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 Now, can I continue on the turn? Okay. Hello.
Okay, go on.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Okay. Back to our material recovery facility. So, currently the operators is on break. So, this is the pile of waste that we collected from our clients in Greater Jakarta. Especially this area is the collection area, collection and sorting area from our commercial clients. This so we cover clients ranging from like government, office, retail, restaurant, cafe, or embassy, and many other clients because they want to manage their waste responsibly. If you can see, this place is where we try to manage our waste responsibly. So that's from the collection. Before we collect our clients' waste, we educate them to segregate their waste from stores. And you can see there is this is a four color of trash bags. This one is green is for organic waste. This gray is for residual waste. The blue one is for anorganic waste like plastics, glass, and metal, and the orange one is the orange one is for plastic, and the blue one is for paper waste. We collect them from using our trucks or vehicles from these areas, and we also bring to our material recovery facility in segregated condition. And then after the waste arrives at our material recovery facility, we bring them to the sorter. This is the sorting table where operators sorted segregated the waste to different 16 detailed materials. Like paper can be separated into white paper, cardboard, UVC or paper, and tissues, and plastic can be also separated into PET, CP, LDPE, HDPE, and etc. And same goes for the metals and glass. After the waste is segregated into 16 more detailed categories, then we will waste them. And we document how much from, for example, for Plan A, how much they generate plastic waste, how much they generate glaze or metals, and it will be compiled into our waste journey report as our effort to manage the waste responsibly. Next, we are moving to the after we go to the this is the collection and sorting area, and then this is our storage area. For information on them, we purchase have for C, and the two of them stands two of the C stands for collect and create. Collect is for collection and sorting, and while create is for recycling and composting. And this is the segregated waste into 16 categories that will be recycled by our recycling partners, like plastic factories, gas factories, metal factories. And we have ensured that our partners will recycle the waste, the collected waste, into new materials or end products responsibly. And what they will be recycled from, we also inform that to our clients so they know what is the waste that I have segregated from the source will be recycled to be. For example, for this PET bottle, they can be recycled like for many things. For example, for plastic chairs, and for example, HDPE bottle like oil bottle can be recycled for plastic broom, and many other kinds of waste also will be recycled to many kinds of end products. This is in our list. Also, and all of the waste that storage source in here also will be documented, linked, and when we send to the recycling partners, we collect and weigh the data, how many is going in and going out to our partners. Okay, and then we are going to our organic facility. In Create Organic, we have different organic treatment to process our organic waste, which is the first one is open window composting, and second is black soldier fly treatment. Okay. This one is on site for open window composting. So this place, all these waste piles, as you can see, is made from either food waste, garden waste, or like leaves, grass, cheap woods, tree trunks. They will be composted in open environment using the method of anaerobic composting. So this pile will generate heat, and they will get darker time into until 3 months, and then after 2 or 3 months, they will mature, and finally we can process and see to be composted that is ready to be sold. And as my partner Adit said, we also have urban farming partners that use our compost regularly for their farming area. Let's move on to the next. For organic treatment, which is black soldier fly. Okay, and the next one is, this is our new plant mask. This one. This is the black soldier fly last one. Black soldier fly itself is a kind of fly which is harmless and non-pathogenic. and they can process in their life cycle. They are highly nutritious and have a great economic potential. For example, this stage of life, in 7-day-old larvas, they can process organic waste, especially food waste, more faster than open windrow combustion. They can process all food waste about in 2 weeks. They can eat it all, and also after 17 years, 17 days old, they will be pupa, and become fly, the new black soldier fly, and they will also produce eggs, and the life cycle in this itself. We also the residue produce compost that is also highly nutritious, and in this form itself, we also can source them as as a food for animal breeders, because they're highly nutritious, and especially for like birds or fish, many animal breeders use them for as the food stock for their pets or their pets. And after this one, from the soldier one, this one is also the part of our composting facility. So after the compost from the open windrow is already last 3 months and nurtured, they will be steeped in this machine to become more finer materials, and then the compost will be dried for maybe about 1 or 2 weeks until they get dry, and then they will be fed and can be used by our recycling partner or urban farming partner. And the last one, we are moving to this one is the same with the commercial collection and sorting area, but this one is a residential one. We have a big residential client, which is from Bekasi, the current place where our material recovery facility is. And after I have talked about inorganic waste, which is the valuable one, plastic, glass, metal, and paper. What about the non-valuable one, like residual waste, the waste that is hard to be recycled by the current technology? The residual waste, which is like diapers or cigarettes or any other kind of false materials that is still hard to be recycled. So we put it in this big storage that the residual waste will be transported either to the cement kiln or final processing partner to be used as energy for cement kiln. Or the other name is residual fuel. And also the other residual waste from the residential area, which is from Bekasi area, we send it to the landfill, which is the Sumber Batu landfill in Bekasi. And also some clients that use our responsible waste management service, which is focused only on reducing the waste which is soluble landfill. From Jakarta especially, their waste will be sent, the residual waste will be sent to Bantar Gebang landfill. That's all from me. So this is wastewater change material recovery facility. This is our effort to create responsible waste management and circular economy ecosystem in Indonesia. And we hope that wastewater will have to several cities, big cities in Indonesia, so we can make our impact bigger. It's all from the virtual tool. Thank you so much for joining with me. berapa sih finish dengan tempat?
Okay. Thank you very much, Miss Tasya, for your information. That's very interesting business process. And now we come to the Q&A session. Yeah, thank you for Mr. Adit and Miss Tasha. And now we are coming to the Q&A session. Let's go to the audiences for your questions. I ask you to state your question. You can chat in the chat. You can mention the question in the chat box, or by clicking the raise hand feature and waiting for the moderator to allow you to speak. Once again, for the audiences, you can state your question. You can mention the question in the chat box. If you'd like a specific speakers to answer the question, please mention the speaker's name first, then the question. Or you can ask the question by clicking the raise hand feature and waiting for the moderator to allow you to speak.
Okay. Hello. Can you hear me?
Okay, can we waiting for the committee to coordinate first?
Oh, okay.
So you can, yeah, please introduce yourself.
Okay. Hello, good morning everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fajar Rizkiansyah. I'm from Universitas Islam Indonesia, Management 2018. So I will give some questions actually with both the company, the Bumi Langit, and also Waste for Change. First of all, I will ask some questions to Bumi Langit first. Actually, you said that healthy. You are what you eat, and you said about the healthy food, right? So actually, in some cases, I know that some people think that when you want to eat some healthy food, it will more cost you. It will more spend your money to get that healthy food. So it is. So what is your opinion about that? And have you ever overcome these situations, and or you educate them or something like that, or your product is actually not priced as they think like that? And I give the questions or directly answer.
Yeah, you might mention your question to Waste for Change, and after
Okay.
that, yeah.
Yeah, that's my question for Bumi Langit and Bumi Langit company. And my second questions is for Waste for Change. Actually, I read in the website. It's quite interesting. The service about in store recycling, if I'm not mistaken, to spelling it in store recycling. I saw that there are so many clients, and actually it's some big company to be your client. And can you mention more? Can you explain more about in-store recycling? And I'm sorry if it is not polite. Actually, I curious about how 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 much the price for the company to get your services, especially for in-store recycling. Thank you for that, my question. I'm sorry if there is some mistake in some word. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the question, and please, Mr. Krishna, you might answer the question.
Yeah. So yeah, it's true. Right now, the market makes anything that is organic or healthy becomes a marketing tool to make things expensive. So we in Bumi Langit, we don't really follow that rule. We value our products based on just calculating the cost on just in a way the local market, but we still don't go as low as the local market because that doesn't value the farmers. We go a little bit higher, but not as much as the organic. So it still values the people who grows it. It's true that right now, where healthy or organics become something that is very expensive. And that is something that we really try to fight right now, because here's the truth. If you actually know how to grow organic, it actually can be for free. You don't have that much cost. So it doesn't make sense for something that has less cost to actually be expensive. So right now the market is being played, so people are, it's already kind of been based into that kind of situation. So right now what we're doing is actually starting to actually open up that the prices to something that the locals can actually buy. And that's actually the things that not only in Bumi Langit that we do, but also the things, the programs and projects that I do in Bali. And we're trying to actually open up to that healthy is not expensive. Healthy is actually very cheap and it's around us.
Okay, thank you very much for the answer, Mr. Krishna. And for the second question for Mr. Aditya.
Yes.
Yep.
So yeah, in-store recycling. Rightly pointed out, it is there's a lot of clients for us for in-store recycling. So what we try to do here is we want to enact the EPR concept, right? EPR is extended producer responsibility. So producers are not just responsible for the quality of their products, but also what happens throughout the life cycle of that product. And part of that life cycle is what happens to its packaging when it's being disposed of by their consumers. So this in-store recycling is sort of a take-back scheme that we propose to these clients. They're basically, we provide them with the bins and we collect those bins and we give them the report on how much waste from their product that they are collecting back. But of course, it's not just their product. It could be any product of the same sort of like category, right? So for example, one of them is the body shop. We collect their, of course, makeup packaging, but they don't need to be from Body Shop. It could be from other brands as well in there. And this is part of their responsibility to take back what they have produced for the consumers. In terms of pricing, I would say we are probably the only one. So I couldn't really reveal the exact price of it, but I think what I can say is that this concept, we are only charging, let's say, logistics and waste sorting by our material recovery facility operators.
Okay, is there any answer that not yet answer your question? Is that enough for you?
How much if the company wants to want to get your services, especially for what for in-store recycling for a company, how much the price actually?
It depends on where you're located.
Oh,
So because logistically, as I'm saying, it's a logistical cost and let's say waste bin manufacturing costs and also the operator's cost. But it depends on where you're located, and I really can't say the price unless maybe you can give me sort of like a request for proposal.
all right, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Aditya. Up next, for the next question, is there any other question regarding to the sustainable process, how the way they can sustain the business until right now? Please, you might raise clicking the raise hand feature, and or maybe state your question directly to the chat box. Anyone from the audiences again can click the raise hand feature or directly can write or mention the question in the chat box. Malaysian students, perhaps, is there any question regarding to two companies in Indonesia conduct their businesses? Please, Almira Alpha. Oh, Almira?
Yeah, hello.
Yep, yep, please, you can ask the question.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to everyone. So, my questions is to Mr. Aditya.
Excuse me,
Who
could you
is
please
working?
introduce yourself, where you come from?
Oh,
Yep.
I'm sorry. My name is Amira Aufa binti Muhammad Ramzi, and I'm from USIM, University Science Islam Malaysia. So I am a business corporate student, year 2. So my questions is to Mr. Aditya. Mr. Aditya did mention about circular economy and in his business. So what is, I wonder, what is the difference between circular economy and green economy? That is my questions to Mr. Aditya. Thank you. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Waalaikumsalam.
wabarakatuh. Thank you, Almira, for the question.
Right.
Please, Mr. Aditya.
So circular economy and green economy. So what's that? What is the difference between that? I think the difference is in the concept of where it's focusing, right? So we've heard about blue economy as well, and on let's say focusing on marine environmental protection, or green economy, which focuses on reducing greenhouse gas emission. In circular economy, what we're trying to do is minimize the amount of resource extraction by maximizing resource that has already been extracted. So that's the idea there. The difference is in the philosophy. All three of them, what I just mentioned, are very environmentally conscious and not just really thinking about the economy in terms of profit, in terms of gross domestic product, but we're also thinking about the longevity of that profit, right? Sustainable profit in the economy, how everybody can contribute to that economy. So now just focusing on a little bit more on circular economy, the idea in it is, I think what we look at the world right now, we have extracted a lot of resources, but we are just dumping it away. We are not utilizing it in any way after it's being used, for example. And now, what we would try to do is making it a little bit slow in terms of consumption. So make the lifespan of our products, of the resources that we extract, a little bit longer, and then put in the design any process that could make it easier for it to be recycled. So after we make the lifespan longer, we want to be able to recycle it a little bit, much more than what we are currently doing right now.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Aditya. Is that answering your question, Almira? Is there any
Yes.
question you would like to ask?
Yes, that is very clear. Thank you, Mr. Aditya. And I have one more question suddenly for Bumi, Mr. Krishna from Bumi Langit. My question is how Bumi Langit maintain their relationship with their customer to repeat, to make them repeat to go to Bumi Langit. How can I say that? Do you understand my questions? Like how do you
Yes.
engage with the customer?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. One of the things that you give them experience, give them a story to tell. Give them good food. But the main thing is really the story, because sometimes people just come to actually just have an experience. And I think that's really the most important thing, that people actually, through their experience, through actually us telling our stories there, they would tell that to another person, and they eventually wanted to actually bring them to the source. Oh, okay. And I think that's really the main thing, to actually get people to actually, something that gives them an experience, give them a taste, really. If you want to have a loyal customer, give them something that is something that would actually, you know, when you actually get something, when you get may that be a food or a product or a tool or any case, that I'm like, oh my God, this is so convenient. Oh my God, this is so good. And the person who's actually giving you the product is actually really meeting you as a person, and just having more of like, it's almost like a relationship in a way, and just having that, it's almost like just meeting another friend rather than seeing them as a customer. And I feel that was make them always feel like home when they come to us. It's like just making a large living room where they can come back, and that's really how we do it, and how they would just come and bring more people the more. But our moderator there can probably give a good example, because she already came there a few times. But I feel like that's really the path to do it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Krishna. And Almira, is that enough for answering your questions?
Yes,
Okay.
it is a very great answer. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Assalamualaikum. Yeah.
Amira, waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Salam.
wabarakatuh. Do we still have time for one more question? Yeah, do we still have time? Okay, we still have one more. We still have time to one more question. Probably we still have one more question. From the audiences, you can click the raise hand feature or directly mention the question on the chat box.
Sorry, can I ask one question?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Could you please introduce yourself first?
Okay. Okay, hello, assalamualaikum. Good morning, everyone. My name is Baiduri. I'm from UC Malaysia. I'm sorry for attending this quite late because I just finished a quiz just now. Okay, I would like to ask Mr. Bumi Langit. In your business, what is your biggest big why? So what is your the thing that make you want to achieve everything in your business? What is your big why? That's it. Thank you.
Mr. Krishna.
Yes.
What is my, sorry?
Your big why. The big why means the biggest thing that the real reason, your biggest reason to start this business and make it sustainable.
I have actually, I think I can say this to the whole people who's actually in Bumi Langit that's living with us there. We want to have, it's really just, it's nothing glamorous or in any way. It's something very basic. We just want to have a good life, good food, good home, good company. By means of company, not a company, but a company of people.
A team, yes.
That has the same, companions. And to have something that is constantly being shared, that is always going to be useful for people around us. And to have that continue to 7 generations down, and for it to constantly keep growing, because we build our place based on nature. So even when me as a human being is gone, nature will always keep on growing. That mango tree that I planted, that durian tree that I planted, will constantly grow more and more bigger and produce more and more fruit to give to the people, to the next generation of humans, and giving them good health and good flavors in their mouth. And it's really that simple. It's really just, we want to have a good life and share that life with other people. And I think there's nothing more to ask than that. And that's our basic.
That's really beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for Mr. Krishna. Unfortunately, we are getting close to the end of this event. We would like to thank especially for Mr. Krishna, Mr. Adit, and also Miss Tasya. I'm sorry, for attending today's event. I hope we can meet you in another change. Okay, and well, to sum up today's event, we know that we can share the knowledge related to the business history, business background, about the business strategy, how the way they cope with the challenge, and also to motivate ourselves to innovate and also keep participate in a sustainable business. Thank you for coming. We are really appreciate to have you in today's event. Now, I will give back to the event to the MC. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you to our inspiring speakers and the great moderator. The session of virtual company visit has ended, but don't forget that we still have a closing ceremony for tonight. So keep your spirit and do your best. See you tonight. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much.